Hello everyone, this is Matt with Storm Central. We're here with the latest on Hurricane Irene. It is now a Cat 1 hurricane, just about 50 miles, 40 to 50 miles off the coast of the Dominican Republic. Let's fly right to the GR Earth satellite, visible satellite image, and we'll see the exact location and get the latest on it. Here we are. So here is Hurricane Irene. I may say tropical storm. Emily, excuse me if I do. I know I've had some problems with that in the past. Because we covered Emily, it seemed like, for like 2 weeks. So if I do that, apologize. But this is Hurricane Irene, not tropical storm Emily. Alright, so here we are. We're centered about 50 miles off the coast of the Dominican Republic. We'll get to that once this visible satellite uh, uploads. So we're looking at this is Hurricane Irene. And you can see the flying of the bands here with the rainfall bands. We were shown the radar earlier with some postings. But as you can see, this is a very healthy and healthy tropical air mass and environment for this to keep strengthening, as it made landfall over Puerto Rico yesterday around, I believe, 1:25. I think it was around, no, maybe around 11:25, I believe, in Puerto Rico. It had been Eastern Daylight Time last night, and most of the damage was with rainfall, and it did had some gusty winds, as we got some reports of over 80 miles an hour in this area. Half the country is out of power. About 80,000 without power, or 800,000 without power. So this did come in with a bang, and it's leaving with a bang, as we still have some wraparound showers and thunderstorm activity and rain bands into these areas. That could also be shown by this infrared satellite image shown with these rain bands still coming into Yuko, San Juan areas, as this thing is now centered in this area location as it moves us off to the west-northwest fashion. Alright, now one more thing, we're going to take a look at the water vapor, and as you can see, this thing is very healthy. We're seeing rapid strengthening, as you can see by the purples and blues, and this thing is just spreading out. It's very large system. So this is what we're expecting. Let's go to the GR Earth here. We're located about 40 to 50 miles off the Dominican Republic. Let's fly into this area right now and see where we're... Oh, I forgot to turn off mouse navigation here. It's not going to allow me to move. Alright, so this is what we're looking at right now. And we're going to fly into this area. So we're looking about 40 to 50 miles off the coast of Las Lagunas de Nizabon. Excuse me, I do not have a Spanish accent, even though I do speak fluent Spanish at times. I say that at times because there's Spanish that I do not understand. So we're looking at Hurricane Irene. Is currently centered right here. This is where the tracks are taking it. If we can widen out and take a look at where we're going. So most of the tracks right now are in favor of this area being hit. As we're looking at Bahamas over into Florida, you can see the paths almost where the majority of this is taking it over. And there is one path that wants to take it south. We have a good couple lines taking it into Florida. So that's why I have not immediately ruled Florida out of this area. But looking at the paths, we're just taking it more northerly into these areas. Some actually taking it off the coast of Cape Hatteras. So that is also an opportunity with this bubble of high pressure here. So that's where the models are taking it. Let's go to my views on the system as we get ready to talk about where it's going. Now, I've been inconsistent with this for the last few days, as I had it about 100 miles off the coast of Florida yesterday, and I have moved that track about 100 miles east once again, as we did have more of an impact to Florida yesterday. Now I'm seeing more impact to Carolinas. As this track has moved east, all models are in favor of this, and this is where I was going. Yesterday I had a hurricane, which that did come into play right now, as we did see a Cat 1 hurricane once it got off the coast of Puerto Rico. This is just going to keep rapidly strengthening, as my cats have not changed recently. So now we're going to go take a look at the next graphic, and this is what was to play. And actually it did win over the second track, as this was yesterday's. and this is yesterday's path also. This is the morning's outlook. But we got the high over there, you got the jet stream pattern, you got the break, and it's just going to go where that break is, and right now we're looking at the break. It's going to be taking us way off the coast of Florida. Should be a big effect to the Bahamas. Cuba will see little to just rain bands effect on this. As if it does take that southerly path, we could see an impact to Florida, but I'll get to that in a minute. Alright, this is Storm Central's track. I did not fill in the cats because I'm not done with this model. I wanted to get this over with. But as you can see, the track in yellow is my forecast, and we're looking at it landfall between South Carolina and North Carolina coast, just a bit north of that. We'll fly into that area in a minute. But we also see in these models that want to take it way off coast into Cape Hatteras area, and then want to take it into Florida. That's why, once again, I have not immediately ruled Florida off, but I have put them back into the impact may occur in the red zone. Now let me talk about what's going on with the impacts for the... I did state white. I've changed the color because the red and then the white didn't seem to go together with the outlines, so I did make it more of a grayish tone. We do have a black impact for Georgia, and this will likely go up to either a black or a black area for Virginia now. As the white impacts, we could see catastrophic impact could occur in these areas. Now let's do it right now. Let's take a look at what are catastrophic. We're not looking at a tropical storm. Now watch closely. We're going to see a Cat 2 hurricane in this area right now. I want you to look closely because they did not fill this in. So we could be seeing a Cat 2 hurricane. Now this red here, the ensemble, is going to look like very closely. We could see that would be a Cat 1. So we're looking at Cat 1 still around right there. Cat 2, we're looking in this general direction. This is going to be hard to see, sorry guys. Now we're looking at a Cat 3. This is going to be ensembled by this bluish tone. We're looking at Cat 3 in this area. So this thing is rapidly strengthened. We'll have a well-defined eye once it comes to Cat 3. Looking at a Cat 4, so this is going to be shown by this pink. Ignore this right now, as I'll draw a line through it. We're looking at a Cat 4 could occur in this area, shown by this pink. Now, where it goes from there is all uncertain. We have tracks mostly going in this general area here. So, this is why I put in the white. If this gets to a Category 5, this could be a huge impact to South Carolina and or North Carolina, as this could be catastrophic. That's why I put you in the white. Catastrophic means that it could occur, it's forecast to occur, so that's why I have just left that as a concern. It's not in stone yet, but I'm pretty sure on this forecast of these areas right here, could see very strong impacts to this. And if we get to Cat 5 status or rest off the coast, we could have a major problem coming in for these cities. Now, if it went more to Cape Hatteras, we have this open area here. That could mean storm surge could be definite. That means very high winds for all these areas, but we'll get to the more impacts later on. Alright, let's clear the drawings here and see where this would go. Now, say it made it to Cat 5 status and it made landfall just north of the South Carolina, North Carolina coast. So made landfall as a Category 5. For example, this is not set in stone. Now let's put on the blue and see where this would be going. We'd be looking at this. It would likely drop to around a Cat 4, Cat 3 around here. We could see it come off the coast as a Cat 2. This could be a Harvey type of thing. Some others have Harvey as an example, as the other day when it did something this down here, made landfall around this area, went off the coast for a second, went right back in. That made it strengthen almost to a hurricane, if not a hurricane. I mean a tropical storm. It did make landfall as a high tropical storm, went through all that real estate on land, and then re-strengthened over water. This is what it could do before we see an impact potentially to Long Island areas. So that's why I've kept all this area in red, as even if it were to stay this track, go into this area, we could see heavy rainfall and come back out west. East, I mean. So then we could be looking at New York areas here. We could see a Cat 2 hurricane as possible. With all this re-strengthening, waters are still very warm in this area, so that's why others have compared it to Hugo with this track. Alright, now we're going to look at the impacts here. Alright, let's see if we have the impact model up. Do we have it? Let's take a look. Yeah, let's go real quick just to make sure. This track right here, this was yesterday's forecast. It's still pretty valid. This track right here to the west here into Key West is no longer valid. That is not going to happen. In fact, these things have pushed more west. So if you were to move this model over, this model over, and this model over, this is where you'd go. And see, we still have that threat from Miami. We still have them things coming into this direction. The cats are still valid. We could still look at a Cat 3 hitting Miami plus Cat 3. So that's still valid. But once you get out of this area, you still have all this open area. That's what I'm worried about. All this open area right here, we could mean a very strong hurricane for these areas. Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, East Coast, New York, Pennsylvania all need to look out for this. As we can see, rain re-strengthening Boston, New York, Virginia, DC. We all need to take a look on this here. Now back to this graphic. Say we were to get landfall here. This wide air mass, as shown here, look at how wide this out. Cloud tops go that wide. If you were to move that all the way eastward, let's see if we can get this up. It doesn't want to work for us here. But let's go with this then. We'll go to this. Now we're looking at this thing being this large. We're seeing it about that big. Now you just take this all the way north. Say it stays that big. Okay? And it may grow in size to be that big. Katrina was that big when it came into New Orleans. That's why it could stay that big, as it could be a Category 5. Alright, so it's following the path. That's not going to come to size. That means North Carolina, all these areas, even potentially these areas here, could still be affected. It weakened. It's still that large of a system. We're looking at Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Delaware, all these little islands, or all these little areas over here, West Virginia, all could be affected. Just because this were to make landfall right there, here, does not mean that this area won't see any effects. Still, tropical storm force winds could be in these areas here. We could still see tropical storm force winds if this thing were to make landfall over here. The very majority of these tropical systems that go off the coast do strengthen. So that's why we have to keep a very close watch out, as this could be a major possibility. Let's look at the GR once again. You notice how big this is? You just take it all the way northward, and once again we have a situation going on. Alright, let's go over the impacts now. We're looking at impacts to the Bahamas. This could very well be a Cat 3 storm. So that means impacts would be very high winds. We could see 100, 15, 20 miles an hour storm here for the Bahama Islands. Now, if it were to go over the islands, it won't weaken necessarily, and it won't gain strength necessarily, just like it did for Puerto Rico. It's when you go over high mountainous areas, forest areas, like the Dominican here. If it were to take that more southerly track, we'd see this drop down to a tropical storm again. So we're looking at impacts to Cuba being just rain bands here, some minimal tropical storm winds. We're looking at some very heavy rain for Dominican right now. Haiti will see some rain also. We're looking at mudslides and rains and I lost my train of thought. Mudslides for that area. Into the Bahamas we come with this. Let's change into the infrared just to get things going here, as we're still seeing some pop-up showers right now. But Bahamas, you're looking at heavy rain. This could be a 5, 6, 7 incher for these areas. Florida, high rip currents, waves up in excess 15 feet, 20 feet could be possible. Erosion would be definitely if this thing were to take that more westerly track. Not ruling out Miami for these areas. If it were to take that, we'd have catastrophic impacts into Miami. If it were to take that southerly track. Right now, I'm not thinking of that. Miami still be on the watch. Still have the emergency preparedness kit if you're asked to evacuate. And still, don't go boarding up nothing. This ain't set in stone. But just keep a very close eye outlook into that area. What to expect for Florida, we're thinking very heavy rain, high winds are definite, erosion, rip currents, high waves, stay inside type of days. For Florida, that would come by Friday. Now we're looking at Georgia. This would be could be catastrophic into South Carolina, North Carolina, if this thing becomes a Cat 5. We're looking at heavy rains, tropical storm, maybe hurricane force winds into portions of Atlanta areas. Probably not hurricane. Tropical storm force winds could occur along the coast here and from about Savannah, Georgia areas. We could see a very intense hurricane getting into these areas. So we're looking at rainfall between 7-8 inches. We could see tropical storm force winds all the way northward into these areas, and we could even see hurricane force winds on the coast. This thing wants to take that more towards track. We could see storm surge definitely into South Carolina, North Carolina, erosion, heavy winds, high rains. It's not that time to board up. You still have time. No evacuations are in place, but you guys need to take a very close outlook. Alert your friends on this and family if you have residents on the southeastern coast of this areas. North Carolina, South Carolina could see very high impacts from this. Alright, one last thing, I want to take a look at the path and watches and warnings. We have hurricane watches in effect for the Bahamas. Turks and Caicos, we have hurricane warnings in effect. The coast of the Dominican Republic, we have hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings for portions of the southern Dominican Republic and Haiti. Also, hurricane watches in effect for portions of Haiti, if that need to be. Looking at some of the islands, the Bahamas, still looking at some hurricane warnings in effect, as we could see hurricane impacts in the next 24 to 36 hours. Alright, everyone, stay safe, get that emergency preparedness kit up, as we could see a very major hurricane coming into these areas over the next few days. We're looking at possibly landfall Sunday into Monday into these areas. Could even be sooner into Saturday, this is showing. So it all depends on the track. Florida, keeping close watch to this, as that could occur too. Alright, everyone, I'm going to have a latest writing update on my Storm Central page, centralstorm.wordpress.com. Everyone take a look at that, follow us on Facebook, and everyone have a great night.